Alright, so in this specific one, we are going to run a WordPress on top of Docker. Okay, in WordPress, there is basically three sort of dependencies. First would be the image of WordPress itself, second is phpMyAdmin, and third is MySQL. Second condition which lies over here is both of the three images, both of the three containers should be a part of single network, where we need to actually expose phpMyAdmin and WordPress, and MySQL should be there for internal communication only, right? So yeah, for that, let's get started. Let me just clear it. And for the same, for specific of this specific demonstration, we would need one network. So we are going to create one bridge network. So docker network create followed by the network name, so WordPress. So yeah, we have created the WordPress network. So let us check it. Docker network ls, and you can see WordPress network is created. Now let us inspect it. All right, so as per the current command which we executed, you can see there are no containers which are associated with it, right? So yeah, let's get started with that as well. So initial thing that we need to do is we need to run docker run -d. We need to run this WordPress container at the background. Okay, so docker run -d, and we need to port it to a specific port. We need to expose it. So docker run -dp. We want to map the external port number 8080 with the internal port number 80, and we want to name the container as WordPress. Okay, and we need to attach it to a network which we just created. So hyphen network, and the name of the network is again WordPress. All right, and followed by the image name, so WordPress. Okay, so docker run -d for daemon, which would be running this in the background. Second is p for port mapping. Third is the name of the container, followed by hyphen network, which will actually attach it to the network WordPress, and followed by the image name. Let me press enter. Since the image was not present, it actually went to Docker Hub and it is pulling the image, and then it will be running it. So docker images, okay. So since there are multiple images we are using and we are currently running on free tier account, there is no space left on this device. So for that we are going to clean it. So for cleaning it up, what we need to do is docker rmi remove machine image followed by the image name. Okay, you can do all the all of these at once also. rmi python, we need to remove mysql, and phpMyAdmin for now as well. So all of them will get deleted, and now we should be good. Okay, docker images. Okay, so there are no images which are currently running, there are no containers which are running, and there are no dead containers as well. All right, so let us run the command once again. So yep, it is going to Docker Hub. It will pull WordPress image, okay, the latest one, and then it is going to run it in the background. It will map the port number 8080, and then it will attach it to the network WordPress which we just created, and also it will name the container as WordPress, where we pass the parameters. Now if I do Docker images, you can see WordPress image is actually here. Okay, and when I do Docker ps, you can see the container is up and running and is actually mapped to port number 80. The name of the container is WordPress. All right, so yeah, the next thing is let us validate whether it is actually running or not. So for that, let me go to browser, and I'll just copy my public IP. Okay, http colon followed by the port number. Okay, so you can see the WordPress is actually up and running. The next thing would be we need to check whether it is added to the network or not. So docker network inspect WordPress. Okay, and here you can see the container is actually associated with it. This is the WordPress. Okay, now the next thing is we need to associate phpMyAdmin and MySQL with it, right? So let us do for PHP first. So before doing that, we are going to actually do MySQL, because that would make sense, because for PHP as well we'll need MySQL. So first let's do MySQL. So MySQL. Okay, this is the image. All right, And there is one more catch over here. So when you click on continue on WordPress, it is asking us for the specific parameters which we can actually get it from here. Okay, so yeah, let's get started with that as well. So here are the environment variables that we need to pass during the runtime. Okay, so yeah, let me clean it. So docker run -it. Okay, here we need to name the container as hyphen name, and the name would be MySQL. Okay, so here we are passing this specific parameter, that is the database name. Okay, now let us pass database username. So for that, let us first set the root password. So for passing an environment variable, we are going to write -e, and this root password would be again password. Okay, I'll just do -e, where we are going to pass the database name. Now why I am using this one? Because it is actually mentioned in the WordPress, because it will need a database, right? Database name, database username, database password, and database host. Okay, so the one here, as you can see, this is the root password for MySQL. Here we are giving MySQL database, that is basically it would be the name of the database. So the database name would be WordPress. Okay, -e. Now it's time to pass a user. So we are going to create one user by the name WordPress itself. -e again. Now it's time to pass the MySQL password for that specific user. Okay, so what we have done so far is we are running a container named MySQL. Okay, MySQL, and here we want that specific container to be named as MySQL, and we are passing environment variable as MySQL root password, the database to be created as WordPress, the user to be created as WordPress, and the password is again WordPress. Okay, and this should all be done with the image MySQL. Also one more parameter to pass, that is the network, and the network should be WordPress. Okay, yep. So here we are done with all of the things, and let me just go again. One second, one more parameter to pass, that is -d, because we want to run it in the background. Okay, now since the image was not present, it went to Docker Hub. It will pull MySQL image, and now everything will be run accordingly. Okay, so it will run those processes in the background. It will create a username WordPress, it will assign a password, it will create a database name WordPress. Okay, and all of the thing will be done in the background, and also it will add that specific container into the network which we just created. So now when I do docker ps, you can see WordPress is actually up and running. Okay, and MySQL is also up and running. Now the initial thing, the next thing that we need to check over here is whether it is actually attached to the network which we created or not. So for that, we are going to do docker network inspect WordPress. Okay, now here we have the confirmation that MySQL is also a part of WordPress. They all are falling under the same network. The last thing that we need to do over here is with the PHP, right? So let me duplicate it and search on the Docker Hub for phpMyAdmin. Okay, all right, so here there is only one parameter that we need to pass, that is PMA host. Okay, where basically it's a linkage between the database and the phpMyAdmin, right? Okay, so let's get started. So docker run, and we want to run it the background, and we want to map it with the port number, external port number 8081 with internal port number 80. Okay, and the name of the image is basically, let us copy from here only, phpMyAdmin. Okay, the name of the container would be phpMyAdmin. Okay, and we want it to be a part of a network, and the name of the network is WordPress. Okay, and next thing that we need to do over here is we need to pass the PMA host, and the PMA host is again -e, PMA host equals to MySQL, which is the name of the SQL container. Okay, and let us write the name of the image. Okay, so let me explain you this command. So basically we are running a container. Okay, right now the image is not present, so it will search it in the local, and then it will go to Docker Hub and will search for the image and will pull into my local, right? So now it will run it in the background, and it will map port number 8081 with the external port 8081 will be getting mapped to internal port 80. Okay, and then that container would be named as phpMyAdmin. It would be a part of WordPress network which we created as a bridge network, and then there is one environment variable which we are passing, that is pm underscore host, where we are defining that the database which actually it needs to connect, followed by the image name. All right, so yeah, that was done for now, and now we are good to run it. So let me just press and enter. So basically it didn't found the image locally, so it is actually running from it is pulling from Docker Hub and will run in my local. When I do docker ps, you can see WordPress is running, MySQL is running, and phpMyAdmin is also running, and this is running in port number 881. Okay, next thing is, let us validate whether phpMyAdmin is actually running or not. So let me just copy the public IP, and here I'll just do something like port number 8081. Okay, now since my port number 8081 is not exposed, so I just need to go over here and I'll go to security groups, and here in the security groups I'll just add the port number 8081, add it in bound rules, add rule, and this would be port number 8081. Okay, and it can be accessed from anywhere, and now it should be available over here. Okay, now you can see phpMyAdmin is actually present over here. Let me write the root password, and the password was password. If we are able to log in, meaning MySQL is actually connected with phpMyAdmin, and this was something which we earlier did, right? Okay, and here one more thing that you can check over here is, in the database also you can see WordPress is actually created. Okay, right, the final validation that we need to do over here is docker network inspect WordPress. Now here you can see three containers are present: WordPress, phpMyAdmin, and MySQL. Okay, here phpMyAdmin and WordPress are exposed to the world. However, there is internal communication with MySQL for both of the container. Now let us go back to WordPress again. Okay, now click on let's go. Since all the things are set up, database name is WordPress. Okay, and here we need to write the username. So during the runtime of MySQL, we created one user, that is WordPress, and we assigned a password that was WordPress again. And here we need to set the database host. Now here, if you want to check the database host, what is the database host? Is basically the container name which we saw, which we set earlier. So it's MySQL again. Let us keep by default everything as is and click on run the installation. Now it is asking us for the site title, so let us give it the site title. So it would be Shubham's Docker WordPress site. Okay, username. Okay, you can even copy this and give a new password, your choice. And next is email ID. So let me write a test email ID. So shubham at test.com. Okay, and click on install WordPress. Okay, installation done, and now it is asking us to go to login. Okay, so let me go to login and login with the user which was created, and let me enter the password, login. And now you can see the dashboard is actually up and running for us. Now what will happen if I just copy this URL and paste it on the new one? So http:// followed by the one which we copied, http:// public IP. Okay, let us wait for some time. It will take some time, and then things will get loaded. Alright, so this is the one which we actually created right now with WordPress. So yeah, this was the demonstration, where the actual purpose of this demonstration was to connect three containers in a one network, where two containers are being exposed to the world and one is doing the internal communication. One which was exposed was the phpMyAdmin. Second one which was exposed was the WordPress. Okay, and all of them were a part of network which we created with the name of WordPress itself, right? So I hope you got to learn from this specific demonstration how containers communicate with each other. So yeah, that was all, and see you in the next one.